Okay, good morning. Thank you everyone for attending our webinar on Turnitin. This is actually quite a short webinar today. I'm going to also, of course, send out the recording and the PowerPoint, a PDF of the PowerPoints used, but also a short video that another university uses that is excellent, and it's very detailed about how to use Turnitin, and it also goes through some possible troubleshooting if things were to not go your way, which we know sometimes can happen. Okay, please feel free to go ahead and either raise your hand and add a question in the chat box, or to just go ahead and use your microphone and interrupt as you need. Okay, a couple of things to begin. Sorry, here we go, is our webinar housekeeping. As you probably know, it looks like all of you have logged on, but in case you are logged on and are trying to listen through your phone, or if you have your headset on, make sure that if you would, please, to mute the background. You are more than welcome, as I said, to ask a question and just either put your hand up or just interrupt me, that's fine. But in the meantime, if we could keep the ambient noise, excess noise, to a minimum, that would be very much appreciated. Okay? If you have a question, like I said, go ahead. There are very few of us here. Raise your hand, put it in the chat box, interrupt. It won't be a rude interruption, I promise. We're going to talk a little bit about the background of Turnitin, what the benefits are to you as the instructor, what the student benefits are, how to set up an assignment a little bit, the kind of the bare bones basics about that, interpreting the results, leaving feedback, how the students can navigate to the originality reports, and some best practices of using Turnitin. Well, this shouldn't be surprising to us that the instructor benefits are that we are hoping to reduce plagiarism, that we hope to promote improvement in student writing, and to easily leave feedback within your students' papers via grade mark, but yet have it be very thorough and meaningful feedback. I taught history for over 12 years, and I know too what it's like. I know Dr. James teaches philosophy. I'm not positive about Dr. Sweet or Dr. Schneider. If you care to let us know what it is that you teach. Obviously, history, philosophy, English, we have lots of papers. I was a little philosophy, there we are. Okay. This is yeah, our philosophers are here. Thank you so much. Probably English, philosophy has the most writing, right? The most reading, the most writing. I did read somewhere that the absolute longest PhD is philosophy, and the second is history. And the average of those after the masters are 8 years. So you've done a little bit of writing in your day, not much, right? A little bit of writing in your day, I'm just kidding. And we now need to assign that in our classes, obviously, particularly if we practice writing across the curriculum. However, I'm sure that we've all seen plagiarism in my day, and I realize I'm a great deal older than these students now, was taken very seriously, and it was rather clear-cut. Today, I'm surprised that I really have to stress to students, copying and pasting is plagiarizing. No matter if you are still citing your sources, they are not your original words. It is not your original creation. And I've just had students say, no, you're wrong, and I don't agree with you, and that's the end of it, and so on and so forth. Well, maybe Turnitin can at least help convince them where I could not. So as you know, and as you have been hopefully using it, I think it can be a great tool. It's not a going to fix everything. It's not a silver bullet. It's not the be-all, end-all, but it is a great tool for assigning our papers, learning about plagiarism, and helping assist us. Okay, so the student benefits are, again, how to learn to appropriately use and cite sources and not just copy and paste, to hopefully improve their writing, and that they can see quickly and clearly the feedback that you leave via grade mark as well as the grade itself, which it always makes me laugh when, I'm sure this is the case with some of us, when I was in college, it often took 2 months out of the full semester to get my paper back. that just was kind of normal. I was in a reasonably large school, and I had reasonably large classes with a couple hundred people per class, and that's how long it took to get papers graded. And you got them back when they were finished. We know that our students today are probably not that patient. They're used to a little bit more rapid feedback, and this will not only hopefully allow you to grade more quickly, but it will also post their grade and make it visible to them more quickly as well. So hopefully everyone is going to be a little happier by the end of it. These are some things that we have been kind of told about Turnitin. Students automatically, I found, were absolutely terrified when I was teaching this as well. And we need to try to put their mind at ease. If they don't have anything to worry about, there should be nothing to worry about in terms of Turnitin. If they are legitimately writing and crafting a paper from scratch as it is in their own words, this shouldn't be much of a worry. Okay, enable Turnitin for the majority, if not all, of your assignments in what used to be called the Dropbox. Now it's called assignments. If they're papers, I have known people in the past that would like to require it for discussion threads and this and that. We can talk about that or work on that, but I think this is pretty wise to require this of papers. Again, I'm not saying that plagiarism never existed before the internet. That's absolutely not true and not what I'm saying. But I think with our modern world, it kind of has become just very natural to copy some text and put various elements together, and this is what students believe is writing a paper, and they're not actually, as we keep saying, crafting anything from scratch. So this helps us to obviously try to cut down on that or make it a teaching moment for the students, okay? It allows the students to see their originality reports. So as much as you try to explain to them, this is how it goes, or this is what is right, this is considered the norm, if they don't believe us and they can see the originality report, okay, hopefully they're going to start to believe something. Okay, we also want it to automatically push through the student submissions, so there aren't going to be extraneous steps that anybody has to go through. This is just, once the student puts it in, it's just like they're going to put it into the assignments in Dropbox. And if you find that you enjoy using it, use GradeMark. I would like to interrupt here for a second if I could, because we do have a bit of a small group here. I don't want to make anyone speak up if you don't wish to, but is anybody, or are you currently using Turnitin? Okay, so our philosophers, of course. Dr. Sweet, what do you teach? Business communication. Okay, communication. Perfect. This is perfect. We absolutely need good writing in all of these fields, obviously. Okay, so we see that hopefully we're all using Turnitin. Have you had some seriously steep Turnitin originality scores, or lack of originality, I should say. In other words, one time I had a student turn in with a 99% similarity, and at least I don't know if this is clever or just more dishonest, what the case might be, but he had copied almost exclusively from Wikipedia and then changed the citations. So I knew he wasn't foolish enough to not be able to write the paper. He was clever enough to know to change the citations and just that and the other, but I might not have been able to catch it as clearly with that. So I found it very valuable. I don't know how this is going to work in the various other disciplines, but obviously if it's going to be something like poetry, and you are trying to craft your own short story, poetry, something like that, I don't believe there should be much similarity at all to something else. But obviously if you're doing research, there probably needs to be some similarity, or you haven't used any sources. Okay, so I know that I have heard varying percentages as low as 10%. I know that some people, I had a dean who said the norm he felt was 30% maximum of similarity. Can you guys give me any idea what is normal in your disciplines? 10 to 20? Okay. And when I heard 30, I thought, my God, that sounds like a lot. A third of the paper is going to be similar to something else. Okay, about 10 to 20, wonderful. Okay, but I think we agree if it's going to be research-based, it has to have similarity to something else. So we don't want 0, but we also want to convey to the students what you expect that percent to be. So we want to be crystal clear with them as far as that is concerned. Okay, and then does anyone use grade mark? Okay, while I'm waiting, the reason that I mentioned this, okay, good, and don't worry. This is not required, but it will save a lot of time if you're willing to jump into this kind of more electronic way of grading. And again, I completely understand and realize that this feels a little different and that not everybody is in favor of this. Let me, if I could, I'm trying to take a look at a class without making any students' names obvious, without letting anything out of the bag. Okay, sorry, I'm doing 2 things at once, so I'm also in my screen trying to see if it may be possible for me to share it. Okay, and the reason that I say is, and we have both talked about, we've all talked about this, that there is a little bit of a learning curve, kind of like when we went from reading our paper books, whether they were paperback or hardback, to, like, for example, reading Kindle. That I know some of my parents, for example, still say absolutely not. I insist on reading a paper book. I can't stand the electronics anymore. So I completely realize that the grade mark is very frustrating for some people, that it is not necessarily fun to use, and that it is it just feels kind of like altogether unnatural. This is entirely up to you. Okay, but I'm just trying to make it so that if you felt like this was something that you wanted to use, I think it can save a tremendous amount of time. If it's okay with you, I'm going to switch to, very quickly, to sharing my screen. If it's allowing me. Okay, are you able to see my screen? And it should say something about like written instructions, and it should show some pictures. It's actually some directions for showing not only Turnitin but like how to use grade mark. Okay. Okay, so anyway, hopefully you can see my screen, that it is now shared properly. Okay, what I was, looks like it's shoved to the left. Okay. Okay, so is it, are we able to see it at all, or is it making it more difficult? Okay, the reason that I want to, that's okay, the reason, and I'm going to add this, as I said, to the attachments that I send as well. The reason is that this shows step-by-step how it is that you use grade mark. And I know that you've probably seen this before, but grade mark is, you know, how many times do you go to grade and you see the exact same problem, an awkward sentence, a run-on sentence, and you see it out of a class of 35 students, which I'm sure you have larger classes, you see it multiple times in every paper. This has a button for run-on sentence. And so the theory is all you have to do is kind of like insert the button into it. Then it also shows you how to make sure that you grade and grade mark, save it, and to make it visible. Okay, this way I'm going to provide this for you so that we don't spend hours trying, in this webinar trying to work on Turnitin. But this is quite valuable. Again, as we talked about, it feels funny if you are not interested in the electronics approach to it, if you would still like to grade by paper. I have some friends in English I know, for example, that prefer that. Okay, has it come back to the PowerPoint slides yet? Okay, let me move over. Okay, sorry. It's not liking that I want to share. Sorry about that, I apologize. Every once in a while it decides to get a little finicky. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and carry on so that I don't waste any time doing this. But what I was going to say was I'm going to go ahead and include this. This way you can get some more thorough feedback rather than spending the hour per paper that you might already be using. This has got some built-in features to it. You can also add to those features. If there's something unique to philosophy or business communications that you find students are missing the mark on, you could add these to the grade mark section, and they can be very valuable for that purpose. What I wanted to say was, like I said, I'm going to include all this, so don't worry too much if you were unable to see it, okay? But at the same time, sorry, there, finally it has decided to come back. I apologize. So then for the same time, what we're going to do is, I'll send that out. You can take a look at it on your own. But in the meantime, we have had some faculty call in from some home institutions. I have not experienced this with eCore, that so far have experienced some problems with students not being able to see their grades or the grade mark comments. Has anybody here experienced that? I'm hoping not. Obviously, when we go to use this, we want this to work properly. Good, perfect. So we're not going to touch that if this isn't the case. But there is also a troubleshooting element to the page that I'm going to send you that is very valuable. It shows you not only how to set the grade, but how to make it published. It also shows you how to inform your students where they're to see your actual feedback, so not just the grade itself. Okay? I want you to always remember that you're able to contact us. You're always welcome to either contact me or anyone here at eCore CI at WestGA, or if you would like to contact me, I always tell people if I don't know the answer, which may be the case, I will find it for you, okay? And I can forward something on as it needs to go. I did want to point out to you, particularly if this is the first webinar that you might have been in this semester, we have moved things around a little bit. We have hired a lot of new people. So essentially what's happening on the faculty development and kind of service side is going to still be under Christy, and that is going to be myself and Bob Staples, so you probably have received some emails from him. On the more instructional design side is going to be the development of courses and the development and design of courses and all the instructional designers. So because these assignments change occasionally, it's not that I'm unwilling to give you the instructional designer's name or information. It's because these assignments change. If you have any question at all and you need to speak to the instructional designer, feel free to contact me and I can find out the information if I don't know it myself, or I can forward that on, your email on to them. This way, we can make sure that you're going to the right person at the right time, but you can see how many more people we have hired in the meantime. Okay, I'm going to, instead of wasting all of your time, I'm going to go ahead and send a number of these things out. Remember, if you will, it does take a minute to have the recording also convert to MP3 and MP4. So that's why we don't necessarily send out the recording links immediately. But in the meantime, before we close, does anyone have any questions? or additions. If anyone has any suggestions, something that is working well for you or that you've been frustrated with Turnitin, any problems? We do occasionally get something from Turnitin that says, there's a hiccup here, we've experienced this problem. We don't necessarily notify everybody of that because we don't want to cause some panic. What we try to do is kind of fix it on our end or develop a workaround before the problem gets worse and is exacerbated. So if ever you have any problems, though, absolutely feel free to contact us. Whether or not it's user error, we will sort it out and help you to the best of our abilities. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.